Yo, what's up everybody? So since many of you asked for the updated build video, today I'll be showing you the full version. And also you're seeing a tier 81 run in Moldwood. This is a solo run. I also uploaded the whole run in the right upper corner right there. I also did tier 84, but the version of the build in tier 81 was more updated version. Don't worry, I have another one in the plan, whatever though. So we're gonna get over it today. I used some different aspects, did some different Paragon, I'm pretty sure. And it works pretty well. Now, to keep one thing in mind, it's been calculated, someone tested armor in Nightmare Dungeons, and kept for level 100, tier 100 Nightmare, it's 13,000 armor. So I always try to make my build around that number, even though I have not been lucky with Disobedience. But basically, this is the double swing with Lunging Strike. Lunging Strike is our mobility skill. It proc Berserk. It also heals you if the target is healthy. So it's very good on, keep changing the targets. We're using double swing as the main skill. Not a lot of people believe in it, but recently it got buffed. I played this build for a reason. I knew since the beta no one will play double swing. But I also knew that it can be very viable, and I'm pretty sure, I'm safe to say that this is one of the best pushing builds going into seasons. I will be playing this build. In my opinion, it's one of the strongest. People are sleeping on this one. Just because it doesn't have a huge AoE doesn't mean that it's not viable. It's more than viable. And you're using Ground Stomp for the cooldown reduction for ultimate skill, which is Breath of the Berserker in our case. And then 2 shouts, Rallying Cry, and Challenging Shout. I'm pretty sure that in higher Nightmare dungeons, just high-end content, you cannot clear dungeons with those 2 shouts. It's just too crucial. And endgame in this game is all about damage reduction. It's not about offensive, not about DPS at all. If you think you have enough armor, defensives, enough HP, enough DR, no you don't. If you then think you have enough, no you don't. There is never stopping the chase of getting after that DR and whatnot, those defensives. It's pretty crazy. I did not expect Diablo 4 to be like that, but it is what it is. I really like it, because in some games it was the opposite. And yeah, so this is some of the run from tier 81. You can see the whole run in my channel, on my channel, both 84 and this 81, Moldwood. This is friendly, not friendly to melee builds, because these elites, you have to kill 3 of those elites, I believe it is. They have a pretty melee unfriendly affix that fire those fireballs, and yeah, it's pretty rough. Also, keynote, or like key thing in dungeons that you need to destroy objectives. I need to get me a separate pair of boots with exploiter aspect, which makes us deal more damage to unstoppable targets, which are these objectives. It's not the bosses. It used to be like in the beta, but they changed that. Anyways, let's get straight in the business with the build. So, skill tree first. So we got the Lunging Strike for Berserk trigger and mobility. Double swing and vulnerability over here. That's one amazing thing in this game. I mean, with this build, and also in this game, the most important offensive stat is vulnerable, because it gives you insane amount of damage. The base damage increase from vulnerable is 20%, as you can see in the description. But thanks to some passives and affixes, you can make it even higher. And with double swing, as you can see, this passive, this upgrade, targets are non-stop vulnerable, because we can just keep spamming the double swing thanks to some of the affixes on items with Fury cost reduction and resource generation. Next up, we got the Ground Stone for the cooldown reduction on a ultimate. I would like to try, so I was looking at how we could bring Ground Stone to very low cooldown, and with 2 items, 3 items actually, Amulet with plus defensives, plus 4 to Ground Stone on chest piece, and then plus 3 in Ground Stone on 100,000 steps unique boots. You can get 15 points in Ground Stomp. I want to see what the cooldown is, because with that, we could have Breath of the Berserker pretty often if we could just spam Ground Stomp, but more to the later. We went with Imposing Presence and more DR from elites. This is very important, very crucial. We get Rallying Cry, Fortify. This is amazing Fortify builder, which we don't need Warbringer, a legendary node from Paragons. We are just fine with this, and with one aspect on the gear, Numbing Breath. Amazing one. I thought it's nothing beats this resource gen, but We don't really need this for this build. Fortify is insane. So with these passive, right? Outburst, don't have to look at that. We are not Thorns build. With Tough as Nails, we are looking at one thing, and that is bleeding damage. Anyone who hits you gets is bleeding, right? Mainly goes for the mobs in the back or mobs you cannot reach. And overall, just for everyone. Because of this aspect, you gain 4% damage reduction for each nearby bleeding enemy up to 20%, right? You just need 5 targets bleeding, 5 targets hitting you, and you have 20% DR. I would even put this one on amulets to have higher effect. It would be 30% DR, but I have disobedience for more armor. I might switch things up in the future, we'll see. But I really recommend this. This is amazing because in nightmare dungeons or like overall, those range mobs, distant enemies are the biggest problem in pushing or like in dungeons overall. They hit the hardest. You sometimes don't even make it to them because they will just one-shot you and whatnot, or they can one-shot you if you're fighting objective or melee mob. So this is a great combination. And also, it pairs well with this passive here, where bleeding targets are slowed, and slowed is a CC, which pairs amazing with this passive, No Mercy. Your crit chance is increased against slow enemies, stunned or immobilized. So we have non-stop, like we have 24/7 this passive procced. Challenging Shout with max HP and Fury. I would love to max out both of these skills, but I have absolutely no idea where to put the takes, what the way to take the points from. No idea. Because Barb has so many great passives, it's insane. Next up, we got Booming Voice to make our shouts last longer. Very important. Even though it adds like 1 second to the duration, it's very important, very crucial. Even 1 second. Mainly for Challenging Shout. We got the Good Early Yell. This is also amazing source of reducing the target's like more survivability basically. If mobs deal less damage to you, you know, that's just crazy. 12% is really huge for 5 seconds. It really huge. Now we got the Pit Fighter, where you deal more damage and you also get damage reduction. This is I love these passives. Very have 1 offensive, 1 defensive, amazing. Now I would also like to get counter offensive, which will give you like 12% more damage increase multiplier if you're fortified. And we have we are non-stop fortified too, so it is what it is. I'm just gonna find the points for that. We have attack speed. Attack speed is amazing. Offensive affix. It scales really well with skills. It's in its own bracket, if you will, because faster attacks means higher DPS. So we are huge into attack speed. We have Wallop for more damage while using bludgeoning weapons. We do have one-handed mace in our dual build, so 15% damage. Now, this build is mainly about stuns and vulnerable. Then we have concussion. This is just chance to get the stun on the target. More so with 200 bludgeoning, but we don't use that. We're after the Berserker, and then Unbridled Rage. Now, the great thing about Unbridled Rage is it's a multiplier, as you see that X in the bracket, and thanks to this, I was able to reach over 500% on core skill. Yes, 500%. Look at this bad boy. It is really crazy. But for this, you need a core skill on every single weapon you are using. Another great thing about this build, you don't need any uniques. It works without any uniques, no RNG involved. Only for some of the aspects, but yeah. You should have those at higher level. So our multiplier is looking pretty crazy. But I will talk about it later, about the gear. Now we go over the Paragon Board. So first thing, we go with the exploit glyph for the vulnerability. So you want to focus on dexterity. If you can see the requirements, and then up top, below the exploit, for every 5 dex, you get more damage to vulnerable targets. So you want to chase that dexterity. And little trick how to do that, how to reach that. If you missed anything or not, just click here in keyword dexterity. It will highlight all the nodes of dexterity. This one not, but on the area. Also, glyphs have smaller area, smaller reach by 1 if they are level 1 to 14. And from level 15, their radius gets increased by 1 node. Now next up, for the first board we went with is a Decimator. Mainly because of the vulnerability here. It has amazing vulnerable nodes. Especially this one, Armor and Vulnerable. Like, Armor is one of the best damage mitigators in this game. So here I went for the Vulnerable. We don't really look at the 2-index slashing weapon. We don't need that. Extra points I got left was a barrier here. Another one is a physical and defensive node. I love that. For more HP and physical damage. Next glyph is ambidextrous. So damage while wielding one-handed weapons is one thing, but mainly the thing where it buffs the magic nodes and it buffs our vulnerable damage. This is the number one offensive aspect or offensive passive in this game. Highest damage increase. And then also damage reduction from vulnerable enemies, so even more DR. I would say this is the best glyph to put in here. Although you could put a different glyph here, and that one is, I think, Imbiber for willpower. I believe this one has a lot of willpower nodes, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's quite a lot. So you would normally want to pick a willpower glyph, so I might change things up, but I am a big fan of just buffing these nodes because that's a huge buff. It also buffs these other nodes like dexterity and willpower, so it's also crazy good. Next board, we went with Blood Rage. Straight to glyph. I didn't go for legendary node here, didn't get anything else, just straight for the glyph. And on moving on to the next one, I went with the Imbiber here. This is damage while healthy. This glyph just increases attack power, I think, because my AP drops to like by 4,000 AP actually, if I respec from this glyph, which is pretty interesting. So does it mean that 84% damage while healthy is just 4,000 attack power? I don't know, but overall attack power is a horrible stat to judge DPS from. It really doesn't really tell you much. It doesn't really... I tested 12,000 attack power versus 32,000 attack power. The damage increase was like... It's just not there. It was just so minimal, it's crazy. You would say it would be high because the number is high, but no. No. So, Imbiber still, we went with this one. The increase from, potion healing's also pretty good. So you once again you want to click on willpower and get all the nodes in here. These are also pretty good. Damage to bleeding, strength. Strength is also armor, by the way. And here you get more DR from bleeding enemies. Third board, I went with Carnage mainly for this node. It's amazing, even more attack speed. Glyph is Wrath. This one is crazy good because it's crit damage with core skills and it gives you Fury if you crit strike. So you want to stack up that crit strike on gloves and both rings. Another DR nodes here. I love to see that. This one is not that great. This is like damage from berserking. So nothing that crazy. We might not even need this, but we kind of need it for at least for these dexterity nodes. And we have to reach this one. This one is pretty far. I went for this one because it was on the way for another board. I could probably like drop all that and go for a different route, but I just went with this one. Damage to elites and with the damage while berserking is pretty good. Also, it's 8% here. In this node, I don't have it, but that's the only one that gives you like more than 5% because the rest of the damage nodes are only 5%. Last board, Flawless Technique. This is my favorite because the scalings on these nodes, crit damage is through the roof. So first here we got 30% if you meet the requirements, which is not that hard to get. 540 dex is not that hard to get. Get all stats on one of the two-handers and then you will just get the rest from these nodes. Also got dexterity on my headpiece, I believe. So crit damage, you want to take all of these nodes. It's the number 2 most important offensive aspect, affix in this game. So vulnerable, then it's crit damage / crit chance, and then there's core skill damage, depending on the build you play. Then it's main attack, main stat, and then it's attack speed. So these 5 are the most crucial ones to focus on. That's why some people are just wondering where is my damage if they see a couple of the videos and whatnot. It's all in that. It's all in there. Flawless Technique, this is crit chance, goes very well with the Carnage because this one, once you crit, you get attack speed. So our crit is very stacked. And once again, crit chance goes super well with these crit damage nodes. Last glyph went with Martial because we're using 2 shouts. But another great thing about this is the bonus to magic nodes. Guess what we got in these blue nodes? You guessed it right, we get the crit damage with one-handed weapons. So these nodes don't show in your character sheet. So I'm easily over 500% crit damage together with core skill, and the vulnerable is over 400% too because it doesn't show from the Paragon Board. And wow, it is pretty wild. That's why this build is so great. Double swing is also amazing if built well. So we got more buff to dex once again. Crit damage 3 nodes here, amazing stuff. We got more DR for close enemies. We are melee build, so this is triggered 24/7 again. And a couple of the points left here, I went for this node because 200 armor from one node, if you meet the requirements, is really sweet. Armor, once again, the best damage mitigator, because armor is not only physical, but it's also against elemental. So when it comes to elemental, you want to focus on armor first, because resistances don't do anything. Yes, you might see like 24% cold resistance, but in reality, it's like 3% increase to cold resistance in your character sheet. Resistances are just weird. They said they're gonna reward them in Season 2. Let's see. Let's hope. Yeah. So, let's take a look at the defensives here. Real quick, we have seen the offensive multipliers here. Let's take a look at the... also, my crit chance is at almost 40%, which is pretty good. DR's damage reductions. Great thing about Barb has already built in class damage reduction 10%. That was changed after the first closed beta, I believe. Now, damage reduction for bleeding, you would want to aim for 40 to 50% on DR, so close damage is fine. Vulnerable, there is no way to increase this even more, it's just not possible. Distant, I have only one item with this one. Bleeding is amazing. Injured is from boots, you can get up to 43% if you have a good item power, which I have, but I haven't rolled higher, so I would love to get, 6% more. Damage fall fortified, this one is a bit lacking, but this is easy fix. You could just get a undaunted glyph, which is right here. I also finished leveling this one today, because I believe I have a different version of this build again, a new one, little hint. And I believe I'm using this one there because the damage version for fortified is it's just too good in High Nightmares. And so this is the DR. Let's get over the build. I mean the gear. So piece by piece, we got the headpiece. You want to aim for max HP, armor, cooldown reduction, and fourth stat should be either all stats to meet the Paragon Board or Dex or Strength, whatever you need. You could even go, and this is not a joke, you could go with crowd control duration, because we have an aspect for that too. I will talk about it later. But basically, because of all these stuns from ground stomp, concussion, we are just, we have a lot of stuns. There is also another build I'm working on. It doesn't have lunging strike, it has bash, because the stuns and recent buff to bash. One great thing about bash is it actually gives us 45, but I'm sidetracking over here. They buffed it too. Anyways, so headpiece, I went with the basic skill, damage reduction, more DR, always good. There is never enough of that, so you want to get this one for sure. More seconds, I haven't dropped that yet. Was very lucky with this headpiece, high rolls on every single one, pretty crazy. My chest piece right here, again, everything is DR, there is just not enough, I cannot stress this enough. So total armor, triple DR. The one thing I'm missing here is probably +4 challenging shout. I would like to get that. But maybe instead of armor, if I can get a better roll, actually I have this one. But I could maybe get away with challenging shout if I used like armor potions here. These ones from Helltide. This is craftable one. I would love to test that more. Numbing Breath, amazing fortify aspect, since Fury is not a problem for us. As you could see in the footage in the Nightmare Dungeon. We got the gloves with double swing, attack speed, crit strike, and lucky hit. Lucky hit is mainly to proc that concussion, but some other stuff too. Shared Misery, amazing aspect. This spreads the CC. Since we stun a lot, this spreads even more. It's a huge control on the battlefield. Now, CC'd enemy doesn't do any damage to you, which means you're immortal, which means you have 100% DR. That's just the best counter in High Nightmare Dungeons. That's what I was striving for since the closed beta. I wanted to make a full stun build that can control the mobs. It works pretty well, as you could see. Chest piece, pants right here. The aspect, you already saw this for the DR from bleeding enemies. Another triple DR piece with percentage armor, almost the same as my chest piece. Very high rolls, was pretty lucky with this one. Also, always improvement, I could get higher rolls, but it's impossible to get. Especially on the high, over 800 item power. My boots here, we go with Ghostwalker. While we are unstoppable, we get movement speed and can move freely through the bumps, which means we will not get body blocked. You cannot die through that. There's a lot of people that die because of it. Unstoppable we have from Rallying Cry and from Wrath of the Berserker. You never want to pop both of them at the same time. You want to save that. I was running Iron Skin instead of challenging Shout. I really missed that because Iron Skin gave us Unstoppable. I might even go with Eluding Aspect. Eluding Aspect gives you Unstoppable if you are CC'd while you're injured. injured is 35% HP or lower. So that can really save you, especially in hardcore. It's a must-have aspect, but yeah, we are rocking with this one. And then there's another pair of boots you should have, which is Exploiter, the damage to unstoppable targets. Or they have my boots right here. I might roll these. Dodge chance, amazing piece. The boots here, Fury cost reduction, movement speed, and DR while injured is the must-have. Now, instead of Berserk duration, I would like to get dodge chance, but we could probably roll that. We'll see about that. I'll just have these as a secondary. Now, dodge chance was one of the best stats in this game, defensive stats, because dodge chance is a full iframe. If you dodge an attack, it's just nothing goes through it, right? This also goes for PvP. It's the only iframe in the game, except Blood Mist, the Flame Shield from Sork and whatnot, but talking about stats now. Now let's go over the weapons. When it comes to gems, by the way, we go with blue ones, Sapphire. This is DR while fortified. So we have normal, so fortified, goes hand in hand. Now we got weapons. This is an absolute god roll two-hander. I'm shocked I got it. The max roll strength, vulnerable, core skill, almost crit damage. The aspect we run here is definitely accelerating for the attack speed 50%. 5 seconds. This is proc non-stop because we crit crazy amount of times. Now double swing hits twice. You use it once, you hit twice, right? Because one-handed attacks, one hand, main hand attacks, and then up hand. So you will see double numbers while hitting one skill. This is the 200 mace. 200 sword is this one. We go with Retribution. I went with all stats because I needed to meet the requirements on Paragon Board, but if you can run strength instead, it will be even better, because strength gives us a lot of armor and it gives us skill damage. Strength is its own damage bucket, one of the main offensive aspects or affixes you should go for. Retribution aspect, damage to stunned enemies. People think or say that this damage increase is only to targets that get stunned from distant. This distant enemies have a chance to get stunned. People think the damage increase to the stunned enemies is only to those. That's wrong. It's increased damage to stunned to any targets, from ground stone, from concussion, from anyone. But there is a bug, and that's why people have been mistaken this. If you're in town and you go to a dungeon, what you need to do, you need to unequip the weapon in the town. You TP to a dungeon and then equip it. That way Retribution is active. Sometimes it just bugs out in this weird different way. So core skill, pretty high roll, pretty damage, vulnerable, still missing some percentages over there, but it's still alright. Gems, we want to rock with the green ones. Great damage to vulnerable targets. We have non-stop vulnerable, if you could have seen there from the double swing. Our dual wield, which is our main weapons, because we assign lunging strike and double swing. We attack with these. So this is the aspect I was talking about, smiting aspect, amazing one. Your CC duration is increased by 40%. If you can get it on the headpiece, that would be even more so, 50%. That would, make the stun 8 seconds long on the target, not 4 seconds like you can see here. It's really crazy great. It's cracked. It's cracked, let me tell you. So I was really lucky with this one. We got strength, we got vulnerable, core skill, crit damage once again. Amazing stuff, high rolls too. A beautiful weapon. Our Avent is sword. We have limitless rage for damage from core, another multiplier to core skills, so we're even more than 500%. We're actually reaching 600% with this aspect active. Core skill, vulnerable, crit damage. I am missing strength instead of CC, but targets are CC'd because of our stuns. And our slows. From the skill tree, no mercy, as you can see. Implicit on swords is crit damage, crit strike damage, as you can see. Below DPS number. This is what you want to go for. But we need the mace for concussion. And also, the one thing to notice, the expertise, right? So mace over here, damage to stunned. This stacks, multiplies or stacks really well with the retribution, even more so here. And it gives you a chance to get berserk on stunned targets. Another one, the sword, the reason for sword is this. You get attack speed if you kill a CC enemy by 15% for 3 seconds. Would be even better if you were running double swords, but I'm a big fan of mace on the barb, especially because of Wallop, the damage increase to vulnerable targets. You also get the chance to gain fury. Our technique is bleed, is 200 expertise. This is mainly because of the aspect here on the pants, the damage reduction. But you could also probably run 200 for even more vulnerable. I was even rocking a one-handed mace to the stunned enemies. Once again, goes super well with retribution and our expertise. So it's up to you. You can use either of these three. I was even running Polearm for Lucky Hit, for Shared Misery and Concussion to even more control on the battlefield. Might play some more with it, see how it feels, but I'm sticking to Bleed now, changing with this. Our rings, oh, I don't have an aspect here. Damn it, I forgot to update this one. So you would want Edgemaster on this ring. I forgot to replace it. So yeah, Edgemaster on this ring would be the last one that we would miss. But these are the stats you want to focus on. I rolled max HP here because it was a max roll, so I'll just stick with it. But if you want to damage, you should go for vulnerable. There we go. We could even get more vulnerable than that. Like on the sheet, it will be 400% or more than that. So it's up to you. You can definitely get away with this max HP. But the main stats will be definitely crit chance, resource generation. Those are the two main stats you want to focus on. And then it will be vulnerable damage. And then it will be crit damage or max HP, up to you. Even Lucky Hit, but I haven't really tested that. Now we got Bolt Chieftain aspect on the ring for the cooldown reduction on shouts. Together with Marshall, it's pretty good. Resource generation, crit strike damage, crit chance vulnerable, amazing ring. Love this one. Amulet, you want to focus on Furico's generation. Furico's reduction and cooldown reduction. Those are the two main stats you want to focus on. Third one, probably the most crucial one actually, would be all defensive skills. But that's extremely expensive to get and rare. And fourth one would be either, counter offensive, which is the passive that gives you damage while fortified. Valop would be amazing, even that would be much better. Or DR, while fortified probably would be the best. Because we have already enough DR while bleeding. So I finally managed to get the amulet, which is right here. Fury cost, CDR, DR while fortified, and plus 3 defensives. As you can see, Disobedience just doesn't exist. I haven't gotten those at all. This is my only max roll I've gotten. Surprise, surprise, but this would be the end game. I would even want to get Valop instead of DR while fortified, but because of without that fortified DR, I would be on too low. So that's not happening. Not happening. And yeah, gems, we go with the skulls. With 4 armor. Consumables, you want to go for armor if you cannot reach 13,000 or for the given nightmare dungeon. You would want to maybe even use Lucky Hit. You could use max HP. You could use attack speed. I don't have that. Attack speed will probably be the best. Thanks to all of our other attack speed passives and bonuses. Probably the best. And I am pretty sure that is it. Sorry that the video took a bit too long. I got some feedback. I should make I should make 2 versions of the videos, right? Builds. The one that explains everything and the one that explains less. But I just cannot do it. I need to explain everything. I could even talk about this for hours. I could tell you everything about this even more. So on that note, if you have any questions, anything, let me know in the description, in the comments. I am streaming every day on Twitch, so you can catch me there. It will be also in the pinned comment. But that is it from me. Until then, y'all have a good one and take it easy. Peace out.